When you watch the mainstream media news, do you feel a little twitch? Is there a tingle in your left hand? Is your jaw locked? We have the solution. Welcome to Reasonable Arguments, News and Nonsense, the podcast where thoughtful debate meets unfiltered fun. Coming to you from Sarasota, Florida, where your host, Jamie Miller, a political expert with a high-level take on today's events, and Jennifer Bash, someone who can't stand politics but loves helping you make sense of the chaos. Together, we mix informed conservative commentary, playful banter, and just the right amount of nonsense to keep it entertaining. From domestic and international news to conspiracies both proven and debunked, we tackle it all with humor and honesty. We believe keep your arguments reasonable and your nonsense fun. This is Reasonable Arguments, News and Nonsense. And now your hosts, husband and wife duo, Jamie and Jennifer.
Hello, Jamie.
Hey, wow. That gets you pumped up, ready for a podcast.
That's a pretty good intro, I do have to say.
You did a great job with it.
Oh, thank you. I didn't do it. He did it. Oh, you said he did it, right?
No, you.
I didn't do it, but yeah, no. We'll give a shout out to our guy Keith on Fiverr, did our intro, outro, and promo. Did a great job. So, all right. So here we are on a Sunday night. On this episode, we are pulling back the curtain on a few unexpected mysteries. What's brewing beneath the surface of a trade war in Colombia? Why is Secret Service protection suddenly making headlines? How is cryptocurrency reshaping power behind the scenes? And yes, even an icy debate on circumcision. So there's more to it than you might think. So stick around because nothing is as it seems. So what do you got for us, Jamie?
Well, I know I'm not the icy debates, but I can't wait for it. So, hey, if you weren't watching today, we had about a 1.5 hour trade war with Colombia. This is also one of those interesting things where if you go to foxnews.com right now, it says that, Donald Trump, kind of laid down the law and Colombia capitulated. You go to CNN, it's like Donald Trump laid down the law and Colombia is fighting back. So I think there's more to the story that we're going to hear over the next hours and days. But this all started today when Colombia refused 2 plane loads of their citizens who we rounded up who were illegally here in the United States and sent them back to Colombia. The Colombian president said, we're not having them. And so Donald Trump said, okay, you're not going to have them. I'm going to invoke a 25% tariff on everything from Colombia for 7 days, and it increases to 50% in a week. And then he also, as part of the thing, it's called the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, first enacted in 1977. It's a power that's been given to all presidents since 1977 that allows them to take these efforts without congressional approval. If the security of the United States is at stake, all he has to do is let Congress know that he's doing it, which he has done. He's also, and this is a big deal. Like if you're a Colombian citizen in Miami, and I'll get to that in a minute, the sheer number and percentage of Colombians who live in South Florida, there's an immediate travel ban and a revocation of all visas if you're from Colombia.
Wow. So
enhanced customs and borders protections. And here's the next thing. The presidential authority for the president it didn't say in this order if he's going to or not, but he said he was going to enact the IEEPA, and he can freeze or block assets of individuals, companies, or the Colombian government. So if you're a Colombian company, the government, or an individual who has a Colombian passport, he can block those. He can block your assets. And, because the Colombian president has decided that he's not going to take his own citizens back, and President Trump sees it as a national security risk. Now, to put this in perspective, 400,000 Colombians live in South Florida alone. There's about 1.4 million in the United States. So nearly a third of all Colombians live in South Florida who are living in the United States.
But they're legal to be here. They have visas. They're here the right way. So
Well, that's most of them, right? So
Okay.
I just went on and looked up, kind of the Google of how many are here, right? So that's per the 2020 census. Okay, so
Okay.
um, now when you start looking at trade, you know, Colombia trades or imports about, AOC announced, oh my gosh, you're not going to, the price of coffee is going to skyrocket. And Anna Navarro Cardenas, who's from Miami, and you see her on The View, is like, oh, we import so many flowers from Colombia. We're going to have to pay high prices for flowers for Valentine's Day and Mother's Day. And to me, I would say to
Didn't
them,
you get me 50 roses from Colombia when we first started dating?
that was actually from Venezuela,
Oh,
which
okay.
you can't get now.
Okay.
But it was a great deal.
Yeah,
So they were beautiful. They were
they were
beautiful
pretty.
flowers. And so to put that in perspective, Colombia imports about $14 billion worth of goods into the United States each and every year. But to compare that to, say, China imports about 448 billion, almost half a trillion. So, I'm doing the math real quick. That's what, 40 times what Colombia trades with the United States. But mark my words, this was not done to single out Colombia. This was a line in the sand to all nations, that the United States is no longer going to tolerate you sending your criminals, your drug runners, your sex traffickers to come live with us and to take advantage of the American people. We're rejecting the fentanyl that you have crossing our southern border. This is the end of it forever. And if you don't want to take your criminals back home, then you don't need to do business with the United States. And so I, for one, applaud Donald Trump's immediate efforts. I mean, he's had a great week. He's done more in a week than Joe Biden and Barack Obama did in 16 years. And positive things. Those two guys tried to destroy the United States.
Well, let me ask you a question. So, how far is Mar-a-Lago from Miami?
So Palm Beach County is probably 70 miles from Miami.
Okay. So you are now
60.
pissing off all of the Colombians that live in Miami legally because they have a visa. They're here legally. You are now revoking their visas and pissing off an entire community that resides 70 miles from your home. Granted, you may not be living there, but your home, and
who likely
have voted for you,
and who likely voted for both Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump, right? And so, but here's the thing.
Well, wait, speaking of DeSantis, did he have anything to say about this?
I have not seen what DeSantis has said. My guess is that he supports it. But, here's the thing, is that most people who are here legally are for deportation of illegal immigrants because they know that they tarnish their reputation, that their very existence in our country tarnishes their ability to legal immigrants to live in our country in a more safe way, in a more tolerant way. Because what now has happened is, listen, Joe Biden has pushed this so far, roughly 8% of our population living here now is illegal in 4 years, just in 4 years. And so, and here's another little tidbit, Jennifer, you're going to love this. About 7% of babies born in the United States today are born to illegal immigrants. 13% of babies born in the United States today are born to legal immigrants. 20% of babies born in the United States are born to immigrants. So this is clearly an issue that must be handled and taken all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court.
But I would actually love to hear from someone who is here, possibly from Colombia, that is here on a visa, to see their thoughts on this. Because, as you said, are they taken back by the immigrants that are coming in and giving, tarnishing their name? And, then this kind of stuff happens where, they get their visas revoked and everything else.
Well, let's be clear. Their visas haven't been revoked. Donald Trump has not frozen assets. But by filing this paperwork with Congress, he has the ability to do so.
Right.
So I think you're going to see some major political. Now, you have to remember, a lot of people who work here who are from foreign countries send money back home. So now what it does is it freezes that money from going back into Colombia. So the president of Colombia is going to fall to political pressure pretty quick from people who are very politically powerful within his country to say, listen, you're going to take these folks. And Fox News is now reporting that that the president of Colombia has offered his own presidential plane to come get them. So this was
does this turn into a retaliation thing? Could something like that happen?
Certainly,
they get them
all of this could be possible because every country has their own sovereignty. None of this happens in a vacuum. But the important thing here is that Donald Trump is saying, listen, we are going to clean up the United States. We are going to take these criminals out of our country, and they are going to come back to your country, or there are going to be consequences. And so that's simply what the American people voted. They voted him back into office for, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Okay. All right.
So
can't wait to see what happens with that.
Well, it's breaking news today, so it's pretty exciting. But literally, Trump passed his order. An hour and a half later, Colombian president says, "I'll send my plane to come get them." He still pontificated a little bit on X, the Colombian president, about how he was going to invoke tariffs on the United States as well.
He had to stomp his feet a little bit.
Yeah, you can't. Every politician has their pride, right?
Yeah.
It's all. We talked about Sun Tzu before, and Sun Tzu says, "Always give your defeated enemy an honorable retreat." And so Donald Trump would be wise to not only defeat this enemy, which he has done, but to give him an honorable retreat is probably a wise way to handle it as well. So let him have his day on X, and let's move forward and get these people out of our country who are here illegally and causing harm to our communities. Okay. So next is, Donald Trump has taken so many actions. Some of them have slipped under the radar. I think this is probably a secondary one a lot of people have heard of, but many former government officials, Donald Trump has revoked their security clearances and has ended their federal run and paid for Secret Service protection. Anthony Fauci, for instance, has lost now his security clearance and his $13 million that you and I were paying with our tax dollars security detail. Can you really? That's kind of unimaginable that this guy's no longer even a government official, and we're spending $13 million to protect him. And this is a guy who can afford it, right? Like he's a wealthy guy. He can afford his own protection. He hasn't lived from on the outside of a gate in some very long time, but some of the people who, some other big names, Leon Panetta, John Bolton, Johnny McLaughlin, have all had their security clearances.
I don't know who any of those are.
Yeah. Well, we won't get into it. We won't bore the audience with who they are. They are former officials from both parties who have, there's some questions whether or not people should continue to have their security clearance for sure. Mike Pompeo, former Secretary of State, had his Secret Service detail canceled. But there's some whether they should be able to have their security clearance after they leave government service, because people use that security clearance to gain access and then make money, right? Oh. And so there's some question whether they should have it in the first place, but these guys certainly had theirs revoked. So there's a little bit of another, and this is something I'm not super familiar with. So I did study up on it a little bit. We'll talk about it. And depending on what everybody thinks about it, we'll learn more about it and talk about it more, because I think it's going to be a big deal coming forward. And it's the politics of cryptocurrency. And,
Is this like Trump's meme?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So.
Oh, as we take.
Yeah, sorry about that. So they were, so for the first time, most of these cryptocurrency guys were over in Silicon Valley. They, supported Democrats. And this time they ended up coming in for about $120 million, mostly for Donald Trump, and invested a lot of money now, and crypto was super excited. Donald Trump wins. He's going to be the crypto president. He's talking about paying off the debt with crypto. He had promised Vivek Ramaswamy that we would not have crypto as part of our Federal Reserve, and he then signed an executive order to that effect. And then, and most cryptocurrency people, you and I dabble in it, right? We play around with a couple hundred in this one and a couple hundred in that one. We don't have thousands and thousands of dollars in cryptocurrency. I'd love if we had thousands and thousands combined, but I don't even know that we have that much.
If I would have listened to Jake Downs about 8 years ago, I would.
Yeah. Well, if
Shout
you
out to
even
Jake.
listen to somebody in October,
Yeah.
because cryptocurrency has gone up 50% since the election of Donald Trump. Bitcoin has gone up 50% since the election of Donald Trump. And so the cryptocurrency gamblers, so to speak, had a big payoff, with Donald Trump. Now and you mentioned it, Donald Trump now has his own meme coin. And, now there's questions about whether or not he's trying to corner the cryptocurrency market, which has given the crypto market some jitters. And so it's kind of jumping around. And then there's some people who are questioning, well, if Trump has a meme coin, is this a way that he and his family can enrich themselves, a la the Bidens, by, doing favors for people and getting paid in cryptocurrency? So it's not without its double edge, like everything. There's two sides to every coin. There's a double-edged sword. Pick a thing, and then
It could still be tracked, though.
Yeah, it's still, that's the thing about crypto for the most part is it's all open source, right? So
Yeah.
who's trading what and when and how much. But
it's kind of like remember the GameStop? Was it GameStop stock that someone created? And
well, they all played the game with it, right?
Yeah.
They sold it short and then drove it up or whatever they did. And so I just wanted to throw it out there as a topic that I think we're going to talk about over the coming years and see if people are interested in it.
Listen, he has Barron in his back pocket. Barron's the one who started getting him on the podcast. Of course, he's going to start getting him into cryptocurrency. I mean, you have to realize it's him that's pulling the strings
now
on
Barron
this.
also is rumored to be becoming a land developer out west in Wyoming, and so there's a lot of
that kid. Don't underestimate that kid because he's doing that with Dad.
I don't underestimate anyone who's born on third. So don't underestimate
on third.
Yeah, so it's the old joke that if a rich person is they're born on third and they think they hit a triple, and when they were just born on third. So I was born out in the parking lot still trying to scrape coins. I had to cash in aluminum cans to get a ticket to inside, much less on the field. So
God.
Yeah, so we'll go away from that. And so do you have any other questions about what's going on with crypto? I don't want to get into it too much because no,
I don't really think that we know, but I think that I think Barron's leading him down that trail, and good for him for putting that in his dad's ear, and who knows what it'll turn into.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that I don't follow quite the conspiracy theories yet on
what is his meme at now? Because it was
his meme has dropped about 50%. It was about 48, and I think it's down to 27 or 28 now.
He hasn't tweeted about it lately.
Yeah. So anyway, so now Donald
$38.95.
Oh wow, it went up. So it went up like $10 over the weekend.
Yeah.
And because I think on Friday it was 28. Okay, so if you bought Trump meme on Friday, you're doing great.
Yeah.
But if you bought it a week ago, you're still down $10 a share. And that's why people I think like playing with crypto, because you can jump in one day and just play with it that day and either make or lose money. It's gambling, day trader gambling to some extent. But anyway, Donald Trump went to California. He went to Western North Carolina first with just a really emotional visit to Western North Carolina. Melania Trump had a couple of very emotional meetings with people, and it was good to see her
She's a totally different person this go round, and good for her.
Yeah. I think, you start thinking about it. The first time, Barron was like 12. And I
Mm-hmm.
think she did a lot of that, like as a mom, right? Like, which makes me respect her. If that's the case, it just makes me respect her so much more that she was willing to give up this huge limelight to just protect her 12 and 13-year-old son.
And I believe that's the case too, because I mean, they said that she refused to have nannies and everything like that. So she was a hands-on mom, and I don't think people give her enough credit for that. But now, I think with everybody speculates on what their relationship is, because you see, not holding hands and they look cold towards each other, and but this time it's very different. Whether it's the near-death experience, whether it's Barron is now an adult per se, and all of that. But she's really, good for her. Good for her.
Yeah, I think so too. And
Yeah,
for her now to go, especially on these trips to see devastated areas, I think it's very beneficial to those areas and people who live there
yeah,
to see both the president and the first lady come. And of course, the vice president went to Western North Carolina about Wednesday. We spoke about that on our last podcast. And then Donald Trump had an interesting round table. I think you watched a good bit of it. I know you watched some of it on TikTok.
I did, because we missed like the first 20 minutes of it, so we missed him and his little altercation with the mayor. Which, how do you sit there and argue with the president?
Well, it's so tone deaf, and we here in Sarasota, Florida, have had our share of near misses of hurricanes. Of course, we had the direct hit with Milton that came right. We were in the eye of the storm for 40 minutes, and the whatever.
Wow.
The weather center,
unfiltered and unedited.
The weather center of that storm came.
Maybe AI will fix it for you.
I don't know that they're going to do it. About 1 mile from our house, so we were in the. So we've seen some devastation, and for a mayor, a week after a devastating event, while it's still going on, right? The devastating event's still going on, but a week after is saying, "Oh, people will be able to go back into their homes in a week." I will tell you, Floridians would not tolerate that, not for 1 second. Even Sanibel, when it was destroyed, and they were like, "Okay, we're going to not allow
build
people.
A bridge.
We're not going to allow people back on Sanibel because we're afraid too many people are going to loot." I mean, Ron DeSantis built a bridge, had the Army Corps come in and build a bridge in 3 days and open that sucker up. Like, why are people not in a tone deaf mayor to say, "Oh, it's a week after the fires. It'll be another week." It's just a week. We're going to get people back in their houses very fast. Well, people are having their stuff stolen. People are going in there with metal detectors to steal their jewelry. Like, and it's, and yeah.
Well, what happens? So what happens if, because I know here we have squatter rights. So someone, moves into someone's house while they're on vacation, and, now all of a sudden they have rights to be in that house. What happens if a homeless person goes and sets their camp up on someone's site? What happens then during that time?
I'm sure the laws in California are much more liberal than they are here. So, so it is, crazy. And I think Donald Trump was 100% correct. And it was funny because the president just says, "Man, a week seems like a long time." And it is. Like you said, you go without power for 3 days, it's a long time. And if you go without a week, it seems like months. And so I can't imagine how upset people are in Southern California who are sitting outside, and not allowed into their destroyed homes for 10, 12 days now, whatever it's been.
Well, he did come out and say that it can't be a week.
It can't be a week. That's just wrong.
And they then have to abide by that, right?
Yeah. No, they don't. They don't have to abide by it. But what the point of this segment is that, Donald Trump is putting some ties on the federal money that they're going to receive for recovery. And, I have predicted for some time that, Donald Trump would say that cities and counties would have to participate in the crackdown of illegal immigrants who have broken the law to receive this money. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump has not said that. I still think that it will get there, but he certainly has said things like, "You're going to stop these crazy water laws where you just are saving a mouse to dump all this water in the northern part of California into the Pacific Ocean instead of letting it run naturally down to the south end and the farms and everything else. I mean, it's ridiculous water policy they have there. And then secondly, he said that, if you are going to continue with these some cities in California passed voter ID laws and said, okay, to vote in our city, you have to show your driver's license. Gavin Newsom overrode those cities and said, no, you don't need to show your driver's license to vote. And so Donald Trump has come in and said, listen, if you want federal money, you're going to put a voter ID law on the books because this is ridiculous.
Right.
Where you have these huge numbers of illegal immigrants. And then, and certainly Republicans lost 3 congressional seats, likely due to fraud in California. It's funny because they counted for about 28 or 30 days before they declared a winner. The Republican was winning till day 27. The Democrat goes ahead on day 28. We're done counting. All of a sudden, they're done counting once the Democrat goes ahead. 2-3 races they've done that with. And so, whether there's fraud or not, we need to tie some of this money to, you must have free, fair, and transparent elections. And we can define what all that means, but it certainly means that you're going to have voter ID, that you're going to count your votes in a reasonable amount of time, and you're going to report it in a reasonable amount of time. This waiting for months just until you get the winning result that you want, I mean, it just does not pass the smell test, and it's failed the smell test time and time again. And it's ridiculous that we allow California. I think that if you don't have a voter ID law, Congress should pass a law saying if your state does not have a voter ID law, that your members of Congress, the U.S. House and U.S. Senate, are not allowed to be seated during the organizational session. So that would mean no members from California would be allowed to be committee chairmanships. No, they wouldn't be allowed to vote on speaker. That so you would Congress can control that. They could pass that law right now. They could pass that law within the rules. They don't even need the president to sign it to say, wow, if you don't have voter ID laws, we're not going to sit you for for the organizational session. And I think that should be done right now. And until these states that, Kamala Harris only won states that didn't have voter ID laws. She did not win a single state that has a voter ID law. I mean, wrap your mind around that.
Yeah, how telling is that?
It is incredibly telling because Donald Trump would have pulled a Ronald Reagan and won 1984 and would have won 49 states if we had had free, fair, and transparent elections.
I know you get fired up with that.
I do. So
yeah, I mean, hey, if it can be held as leverage to, have everything just, I said before, I don't even think the election should be shown on TV until, like, there shouldn't be any count, being able to see anything that's going on until everything has to be counted and in by midnight, period. And then after midnight is when you see every state. That way there's no chance of doing that.
Or at least state by state, no, the state doesn't report the results until every county has reported.
Yeah.
Every county has reported every race. And that way you're just like, that way you're not influencing, like in the East Coast isn't influencing voters in the West,
right.
And so they start doing all these exit polls and all this other BS. And, and it is a double-edged sword because the media will go out and do exit polls. And we know now that the corporate media will say whatever they want. They were saying this whole time that the election was tied. The swing states were tied. Donald Trump won 4 of the swing states by more than 50%. Joe Biden in 2020 only won 2 by more than 50%. So, which brings me to the next rant, which, I'm very happy to.
That's what we're calling them, rants.
I guess we could call them.
I think it fits.
We could call them Rep Jam's ramblings. How about that?
Yeah, let's do that.
So the next one is birthright citizenship, and I'm just not going to let this one go either.
Okay.
This is too important, and it's funny on Substack. I've written about it ad nauseum, and people still come back and say, don't tilt at this windmill. There's other things that we can get done that are more important. And I'll be honest with you, the last issue and this one are the fabric of our country and the sovereignty of our country. And it does not matter what else we accomplish under this Trump presidency. If we do not fix the voter laws and we do not fix birthright citizenship, it is all for naught, because the next president or the next time Democrats are in charge, they will reverse it all. And they will try to do exactly what Barack Obama and Joe Biden did, which is take over our country from within with illegal immigrants. So, you know, I did talk a little bit more about there were 250,000 children in 2023 born to illegal immigrants. That's about 7% of the total births in the United States. And so one of the questions I have for you, and it has to do with the answers around free speech, should students who are foreigners attending colleges on visas have their visas revoked if they are participating in anti-American rallies on college campuses?
I'm trying to think. It's a hard one, because when you look at,
it's not hard. The answer is no.
Well, no,
they should, or they should definitely have their visas revoked.
Listen,
they're foreigners on our soil.
Hold on a second. Okay. So think about it.
I'd snap you into something.
There's many organizations throughout the U.S. that what's the word? When they go out, what did you say?
Visas revoked.
No, when they go out and they
protest.
So there's many organizations throughout the U.S. that protest things that they don't believe in, that happen within the country. So people protest about trees, people protest about animals, people protest about everything. I mean, you can't take away, they are here legally with a visa. And according to everybody in the United States,
not
in
me.
the Constitution, in
no, I don't think so.
Whoever it covers, everybody has a right to.
No, they don't.
An opinion. They don't have a right to an opinion.
No, they don't. They are not U.S. citizens. Only U.S. citizens have constitutional rights. So we don't allow those people with visas to have gun ownership. We don't allow those people with visas to petition our government. We don't allow folks with visas to do. They don't have constitution. They're not allowed to vote. No, okay. They're not allowed to vote. So they do not have constitutional rights.
But they're allowed to have an opinion.
Why would a foreigner, just because they're on our soil, be allowed to try to influence our political leaders by protesting? Why? There's no constitutional right for it.
But why do you think that they are influencing the leaders?
Because the media goes and covers it. Right. So that automatically is influential. If, it's kind of like in Florida, for instance, in Florida, we passed a law that if you stop traffic in a protest, you can be arrested because you're stopping commerce. Right. But we're one of the few states that even say you can't stop that you cannot stop traffic. In most states, these protesters can go and stop traffic. So by stopping traffic, you automatically, because there's traffic reports on every single news station, that becomes news, which then influences the public and leaders. And no, they do not have the right to come on our soil as foreigners to influence our political decisions and leaders. They do not.
So when they
nothing in the Constitution allows that.
When they come here, they're not paying taxes.
Sure, they pay taxes, but we don't say that because you pay taxes, you're a citizen. You don't get rights because you pay taxes. So like somebody a German flies to the United States on election day. So they paid taxes. They paid airplane tax. They paid sales tax when they landed.
They're not paying state tax. They're not.
Sure, they're paying state sales tax for sure. So are we going to let that German tourist vote because they paid taxes? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's a ridiculous thought.
If they're able to buy real estate, if they're able to do that kind of, it's an opinion. It's an opinion. A protest is an opinion.
No.
That's what it is. I mean, you're only going to influence.
It's a radical way to try to influence people,
You're
and it
only
should not
going
be
to
allowed by
influence
foreigners.
those that could be influenced.
We're going to end this conversation with "You're wrong," and so so there's 400,000 undocumented students enrolled in higher education.
So we're ending the conversation because I'm right.
No, you're not. And so,
yep. Thank you. Appreciate that.
You do control the laugh track, and that was laughter, ladies and gentlemen, not people clapping.
That was cheering.
No, that was laughing. We did get a little too serious there, babe. I'm sorry. There we go. Thank you. Okay. So anyway, so now we are already Donald Trump's decisions are saving us money. So he signed the executive orders ending DEI in all federal agencies. And as of that executive order, $420 million worth of contracts have already been canceled.
Wow,
$420 million. Great. So $500 million already saved just through one executive order. Keep it up, President Trump. I was going to get into the politics of the village people in the YMCA. Did you read that article that I had on there?
I did not. No.
Oh gosh, this is actually kind of funny because, like a lot of groups that are older, they split up, and they all want to sing the same. They all, kind of sang those songs, became famous with those songs. And there's this one guy, the guy who supports Trump, is the guy who wrote YMCA with two others, and so he was able to maintain the name the Village People. And so while three of the other original Village People, use a different band name, they can't use the name Village People because that band member sued and he won. And so now he owns the rights to YMCA. And so there's a whole political drama between the original cast of the Village People because the majority of the Village People were mad because Trump used YMCA at his rallies. And the guy who actually, the original member who has the rights, is like, no, I love that Trump's using YMCA. And so it's just a little bit of entertainment political fodder for you, Jennifer. So we will put that link in our if you want to read the whole story. I'm trying not to use too much time here, Jennifer. So
you're good.
Why do you
keep calling me Jennifer like that?
Jennifer. Well, that's because you were all pissy with me. That's why.
Oh, you're mad because you lost again.
No, I didn't lose.
I'm glad that people finally get to see it.
I have the Constitution on my side.
People finally get to see you get mad when you lose and you give up. I love it.
You disagree. You just disagree.
Yes, I disagreed with you, and you didn't like it.
And you're wrong. But it's fine. It's wrong. The Constitution's on my side. The Constitution is not on your side.
Because I have a different opinion than you. That makes me wrong.
Because you don't have a basis for your opinion.
I do.
Your basis is
protests or opinions.
I think people who are here from foreign countries should influence our government. That's your opinion.
That is not what I said.
That is what you're saying.
That is opinions.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. So we're not going to go back to that. We just finished on a light note with the Village People. And
God.
And now I'm kicking it back to you, Jennifer. The floor is yours.
All right. Well, my story is
This is completely wrong. I don't like it.
What?
No, your story.
Oh, good Lord. So my story is it's a two-part story.
Am I going to need to take notes?
So no. So the story hit TMZ yesterday, I believe it was, with the headline of this weenie's not getting roasted. A man's penis sticks to an icy sidewalk. So did you read this story at all?
You didn't send it to me. You surprised me with your stories. I send you mine so you can ask questions.
Oh my God. So in Canada, Alberta, Canada, there was I guess there was a fight, and they let me get to the part of it. So I guess there was a fight. They had the man outside, and when the police took him down, he was very unruly. Like he was fighting everybody. He kicked one of the I think they call them what, Mountie police or whatever they call them over there.
Yeah.
Kicked him in the groin. Just was very unruly. So as he was on the ground, his pants slid down, and just like, the what's the movie? You're gonna shoot your eye out when the kid licked
The Christmas Story.
Christmas Story, when the kid licked the telephone pole.
Flagpole?
His penis stuck to the ground because of
Is this a
how
sidewalk or metal?
cold, yes, to the sidewalk. To the sidewalk. Well, you have to figure how cold it is there, right? It's so icy cold. So, so that was the first story that happened, and then
how? Let me ask a serious question, because I moved down from Pittsburgh, but I was 10, and to me the snow was fun, and mom would bundle me up. I'd go out and I looked like a little snowman or whatever, and I looked like the kid from Monsters, right? Just walk like this. And then how long do you have
his
to put
penis?
skin?
How
How long does your
penis?
skin have to touch the sidewalk to stick? Like, is that seconds, or is that minutes? Is that how long is that?
We're gonna really get into a weird area here, because if you like, thank God we have This Is Not for Kids. So I think that if you have a little bit of moisture and then it goes into the freezing cold, it's gonna solidify, right? And it's gonna kind of stick, right? So I think that's kind of what happened. But the end of the story is, when they were getting him up, they just pulled him up and basically circumcised him. So his skin was then still stuck to the sidewalk.
Are there pictures of this?
There is a video. Yes, there is a video on YouTube.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna have to put that link in the comments. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's I will definitely put the link in the comments. But yeah, so he I think that he's probably
I'm in shock. Like, I'm in shock.
Probably hurt. Yeah. So, but they said it's actually karma, right? Because he was just being such a jerk and just causing such a disruption there.
You have to be a little bit more than a jerk for that to be your karma.
Hey, you go around kicking cops and fighting other people. Like, they said that he was just like, he was shirtless, and he was fighting numerous bar security guards who were trying their best to keep their aggressor bogged down while waiting for the local police to arrive. He attempts to wiggle free, and then I guess that's when his pants shimmied down. They did blur that out, so you won't be able to see anything. But he kicked a security guard in the groin, and they held him there. You ruined
the whole video. You shouldn't have told him that.
They held him there for I didn't see the video. I actually haven't even watched the video. But they held him there for 20 minutes. So he basically froze to the ground. And they didn't realize, he probably didn't realize he's all numb, right? And then drunk probably. And
gosh.
So they pulled him up and ripped him off. So yeah.
Always wear a belt, ladies and gentlemen.
Always wear a belt. Yeah, I mean, that's...
Holy mackerel.
Whew. That's all I got.
I was waiting for the pun.
I know, I was thinking of one and got sidetracked today, and I didn't come up with one, but I'll add that one to the notes too when I find it. But it's probably going to be funny anyway, so let's just go ahead and do that.
Oh, yeah.
Because we know it's going to be cute and funny. So
we have created a monster with the laugh track, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. So
there's a drum joke on here too. Let's see what that is. Oh, there you go.
All right.
Yeah. That's there too.
That should be every time I speak.
Whoa, sorry, I didn't mean to do it again.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
What else do we have?
Lots of stuff. That's it. That's all I got.
No, what other sounds?
Oh, what other sounds? We got cheering, clapping. I think that's it. Laughing. We can add some stuff. I'll add some stuff. Here's a transition. Oh, that's nice. Okay.
Okay. I don't know.
So.
All right, babe. We'll be back on Tuesday or Wednesday, I guess, and take us out.
All right. See you later.
This is spin reasonable arguments, news, and nonsense. There is so much BS on the mainstream media news. But you knew that, and that's why you're here. We tackle everything with complete honesty, and we always end on a lighthearted note to leave you smiling. Why do it if it ain't fun? We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on social media. Find Jamie at RepJam and Jennifer at Jennifer_SRQ. See you next time as husband and wife duo Jamie and Jennifer keep it real on Reasonable Arguments, News, and Nonsense.